Getting crews out here to remove that tree is pretty urgent because right now, this lies in her path to work. If it weren't for the car lights from our own station car, you wouldn't be able to see this road behind me. The new MRI will look the same on the outside, but it's what's on the inside that changes the game. It's been a waiting game for Clark because the storm essentially parked itself over the Bahamas on Monday, and now Red Cross leaders have been waiting to see where the storm moves before assigning her to a new shelter. If you were hoping to get your passport stamped in Cuba, that ship may have sailed. Authorities aren't just looking for drunk drivers, but also distracted drivers. If you are out here on the lake, it's wonderful. But there is a delay because of the wind. That cool breeze that we're enjoying is actually creating issues for the pilots. Only 5 clinical facilities in the country have a 7 Tesla or 7T MRI scanner. Now, after U of I's Board of Trustees voted today, Carl and the university are about to build the 6th of its kind.
This has been a long time coming for us. We're incredibly excited for what this means for the community at the University of Illinois.
A collaboration between Carl and the Beckman Institute has been given the green light. Dr. Tracy Wcia, the director of the Institute's Biomedical Imaging Center, says the new 7T MRI will advance critical research on brain abnormalities.
We're hoping the biggest thing that I think this kind of resolution and this kind of technology will allow us is to be able to make a diagnosis much earlier.
The new MRI will look the same on the outside, but it's what's on the inside that changes the game.
It's a stronger magnet, so it gives you better resolution, takes a better picture.
The 7 Tesla will be phenomenal images, meaning we can see smaller and smaller and smaller structures, and it will be the only one in Illinois.
At Carl, neurologist Graham Huseman says the equipment will help people with epilepsy.
In epilepsy, about a quarter of the people don't respond to any medications, and then we start thinking about looking for surgical options, taking out the part of the brain where the seizures are coming from. And the tricky part about that is finding which part of the brain.
Huseman says 1 in 22 people will be diagnosed with epilepsy.
The most devastating part about having epilepsy is really the unpredictability of it. If you have a seizure more frequent than every 6 months, you can't drive. That really limits what you can do, especially if you live in a rural area.
He says he's already taking calls from hospitals throughout the state asking to use the MRI for patients with seizures.
There's excitement not just here, but also in the whole state for this machine.
The new MRI scanner is so big that it has to be built within its space. It could take up to 18 months until it's completed. They'd been gathering dust in storage, but as that space is torn down, Monticello's athletic department came up with an idea to make sure they wouldn't just become a footnote in the school's yearbooks. Players, coaches, and managers alike all raced to Monticello High School's cafeteria.
My wife and I were the first ones in here.
Hoping to score the hardware they'd already earned.
I saw this one, and it said the holiday tournament in 1959. I had to have it.
The district had been storing them in the old Washington school.
So many times these trophies just get put away or thrown into dumpsters.
But as the school is torn down, the athletic department wanted to make sure the trophies found new homes.
These trophies are going to go in there on the shelf where they can be seen.
Age, giving the trophies a bit of rust and the people a bit of perspective.
The second place trophy, at the time I probably didn't even want to pick that trophy up that night, but today it means a little bit more to me.
And whether the trophies were won decades ago or just months ago.
Oh, it's crazy. I didn't realize there were so many from past years.
Their new owners are leaving high school as champions once again. The athletic director thinks roughly 600 trophies were brought out to be given away, the oldest dating back to the 1930s. The school also uncovered a trophy from 1927, but it plans to keep that one on display. They say they're trying to stop rumors and fear from growing in the community, so today's message is positive. But they're worried that the message of support isn't reaching the people who need to hear it the most.
The police department doesn't concern itself with immigration status. We don't enforce immigration status.
Champaign's Deputy Police Chief David Schaefer wants to make it clear the department should be considered a resource for all.
We want everyone in this community to be able to trust the police and feel that we're a resource for anyone in this community if you need help.
Mayor Deb Finan says she's concerned about what's happening on a national level, but trying to focus on helping people on a local one. She says as the 2020 census approaches, she wants immigrants to feel safe coming forward.
It's really important for everyone to be counted because cities get dollars from the federal government based on the number of people here. So people need to know that they can step up and be counted and that they're not putting themselves or their families in jeopardy.
One of the city's partners is the New Americans Welcome Center at the YMCA. Its director, Gloria Yen, says she hopes announcements like these will help address fear in the community.
A lot of anxiety around, is federal immigration enforcement going to be coming into our community, and what does that mean, and how do we need to prepare in order to really make sure that individuals and families are really fully informed of their different rights and ready to protect themselves and prepare their families in that case.
Tom Garza, the president of the CU Immigration Forum, says he's glad to hear about Champaign's statement, but he's worried it's not reaching everyone who needs to hear it.
Well, the problem is that a lot of new immigrants are language challenged, so they don't watch stations like this one because they don't understand what's going on.
The city does have translations for its statements, but Garza points out that in some countries, the line between local and federal authorities is blurred, so people might not realize that local police in Champaign are supposed to help them. He says the best way to build trust is by showing up to community events. Back to you. The district is looking to upgrade several parts of Spalding Park, and now they're passing the ball to the state and hoping for a win.
You gotta speak into that. Say hello.
Ava Butler is almost 2 years old.
Say hello.
But she's not quite ready to be a grown-up.
Or do you want to give it back?
Instead, she wants to spend her days playing at Spalding Park with her dad.
Look, this is one of the parks I grew up in too, so.
The park's playground is older than Ava, but it could be getting an upgrade soon. The Champaign Park District has applied for a $350,000 open space land acquisition and development grant from Illinois. The district's director of planning, Andrew Weiss, says it's a way to maximize potential.
Anyone in, any government agency in Illinois can apply for the OSLAD grant, so it's a 50% match, and so that just helps local communities make their tax money go further.
Weiss says the grant could go towards several projects in the park.
I'd say about a third of that, plus or minus about a third of it is going to the pathways, and then there's a lot of money going towards the lighting. Then the playground is another $100,000.
With a little help from the state, the playground might get to grow up right alongside Ava.
Love to have fun.
Weiss told me the Park District won't know until later this winter if it's in the running for the grant. The district will find out for sure by April 2020 if it gets one. And while recreational pot itself is a controversial issue, people generally agreed on one issue tonight. They didn't want to miss out on a chance to bring in a new source of tax revenue for Paxton.
We've got some time. We don't have to make a decision tonight, but this is the first time we're really delving with the issue.
Starting January 1st, 2020, Illinois will become the 11th state in the country to legalize recreational marijuana use for people 21 and older. Under the new law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, municipalities will be able to add a 3% tax for pot sold within city limits. Now, places like Paxton must decide whether to allow marijuana business licenses to be issued or not.
The revenue part of it would be something to look at. There'll be some tax coming back to the city on that. But then you wonder what it's going to be like when everybody's, will have the ability to purchase marijuana.
Mayor Bill Ingold says city leaders haven't decided what they want for Paxton yet, so
just have a conversation about it. There will be no decisions made tonight.
At the meeting, people said they're worried if Paxton's not selling pot, people will just go somewhere else.
And to deny the revenue of what you have already stated, which is a high taxable, the state can allow tax, the city can allow tax, For us not to allow that to come in for fear of smoking, like you said, would be naive.
People pointed to school construction costs and pothole repairs as reasons for allowing marijuana sales.
I would love to see the city of Paxton at least allow the opportunity for someone to try. If it fails in town, it fails. But I'd love for them to fail because it just didn't work, rather than fail because we as a town decided to outlaw it.
Mayor Ingold told me if the city decides to move forward with allowing marijuana sales, it would need at least a month to create an ordinance and vote on it.
We have a great community, and those are our heroes of our community.
Letters about a national breast cancer screening study began going out to women in Urbana in 2017, asking them to help researchers figure out if 2D or 3D screenings are better.
3D has more radiation, 3D has more cost, takes more radiology time to read them. It's a technology that we've really never found out who benefits, who doesn't. And in the end, is more technology actually helping the women? Are more people living because they're getting one technology versus another? We need to answer the question.
Dr. Ken Rowland says 900 women answered the call and said,
I want to be a part of this, and I want to help society and help decrease the odds of breast cancer for our future generations. This is it.
One of those women is Laura Mabry, a member of Carl's team. Now she's joining an even bigger one.
I just keep thinking there are people who probably throw that letter away, and I wish they wouldn't, because I feel so good knowing that I'm providing information that's going to help people for generations to come.
Mabry says she's grateful she and her family do not have a history of breast cancer and wants to help decrease the odds of women hearing the words, "You have cancer."
I want to be around for as long as possible for my boys, and I think that's just how a lot of women feel. Like, let's figure it out, let's get the answers, let's get those screenings so that we know, so that we can take care of ourselves.
Rowland doesn't expect to begin seeing results from the study for at least 8 years. But when we do,
we're going to learn so much more about breast cancer than we've ever learned from any other study, I think, in the last 20 years.